Hey everyone, welcome to the studio. It's Black Dog. Tonight we're going to take a deep dive into our bicycle restoration. Before we get started, I do want to say a great big thank you to my viewers and subscribers for your help and support in growing the channel. And I want to thank my cast and crew for all of their hard work while I act a fool on camera. Alright, tonight's video we're going to deal with some of the construction and mechanics of the bicycle as well as a little bit of history. I do want to give a quick disclaimer. I'm not a professional, I'm not a restoration specialist. This is for entertainment and information only and to serve as a guide if you choose to do a similar project. So let's get started with a little bit of history. What do we have? Well, a friend of mine in the local community, kindly enough, gave me this bicycle, made it roadworthy before he did. Very gracious of him. And what he told me, which is what he was told when he got the frame of the bike, and what I'm about to tell you, that we're looking at a late 60s model, and this gray discoloration is from where it's laying on its side in a garage or shed for a number of years, and that's sun and weather damage. Unfortunately, none of that's actually the case. So what do we have? Well, for starters, it is a 1991 model, and it is made by Murray Bikes, according to all of the labels. However, in the 1980s, Huffy Bicycle acquired Murray Bicycle and continued to make them under the Murray name. So what we have is a 1991 Huffy-made Murray Westport street cruiser. All right. So let's get to a little bit of the construction. It is a tubular steel frame and it's welded. And I gotta be honest, I'm sure they're machine welds, but they are really well done machine welds. All right. Now this kind of frame is very strong. It's very rigid. And it's nice for an urban bike path or street that's going to be somewhat level and in good repair. It's not really the best bike for rural areas, and I certainly wouldn't use it on a mountain bike or cross-country trail. All right? So in terms of the mechanics, let's get a little bit of the mechanics done. It is a single gear, fixed gear, so it means there's only one speed, and that's how fast and how hard can you press the pedals. And it's a coaster brake assembly. That means that you press the pedal backwards in a clockwise position and apply pressure that's going to lock this gear and chain assembly, that's going to lock the rear gear and the rear tire, put friction on the roadway, causing you to stop. Now, if you've seen any of our previous videos, you'll also note that aside from being a 1991 rather than a late 60s model, this gray coloring is not weather damage. So what is it? Well, a quick visit to a friend of mine who owns an auto detail shop and does restoration work revealed that it's gray spray paint, plain, cheap gray paint. And you can see that where he's taken some lacquer thinner and uncovered some of the original chrome. All right? So our first step in the restoration process is going to be to break the entire thing down. All right, and we're going to go over our steps in doing that. First, before we go over the breakdown steps, I want to go over the tools and items that I'm going to use and that I would recommend you have. So first off, I have a set of sockets and drivers, and mine are in US standard. If you're overseas, check your specific make and model to see if you need metric. I have two regular flathead screwdrivers, and a quick visual check of your bike will reveal if you need the Phillips heads. I have a pair of locking pliers or vice grips, and I have a can of good old WD-40. Don't leave home without it. I've also got a few Ziploc baggies and a marker, and I'll get to those here in just a second. So our first item on the breakdown is going to be to remove the handlebars. So we're going to come over here, we're going to loosen this nut and this clamp and just kind of loosen it up and slide the handlebars right on out. All right, we don't want to put a lot of force on this clamp so we don't actually break it. All right, and then we will be able to loosen here and here and here to remove the interior post and to be able to take off the forks. But the forks and the interior post will be later down the road. Our first job is just the handlebars, nothing else in the assembly. Once the handlebars are off, we're going to come over here and we're going to start with the seat and the seat post, and we're going to remove the hardware there and the seat and the post. Now, every time, and this is where we're going to get to the plastic baggies, every time we take off a piece of hardware, all right, we're going to put it in the bag, label it, where it came from, what it goes to, what it is. All right, now this is for two reasons. First off, the restoration specialist suggested that we keep all of the original hardware that we have. Second off is a lesson from my granddad. When you're taking on a mechanical project like this, store all of your screws and nuts, washers, etc. in bags and label them as to what they are, where they go, so that you're not walking around during assembly with a bolt and two nuts in your hand and not sure where to put them. All right? Now, once we have the handlebars and the seat off, we're going to flip the whole bike literally upside down. We're going to secure it and stabilize it. Then we're going to take off the front tire and the front fender. All right, and up under here there's a little hidden screw, and back here under the seat post on the rear one there's another one. So you got to make sure that when you're taking the fenders off you get those little hidden screws. So we're going to, like I said, take off the tire and fender. Then we're going to deflate the tire so that we can safely remove the tire and the tube from the wheel. We're going to come over here, back here. We're going to take off the chain guard, all right? And again, remember, we're putting all of these little screws and washers and whatnot into our little baggies and getting them labeled, all right? Then we're going to take off the rear fender and the rear tire. Now, when we loosen that assembly back here, that's going to loosen up the chain on the sprocket assembly. We'll be able to take the chain off at the same time, set it aside to be cleaned and re-greased, right? As far as the pedals, the cranks, the sockets, and the forks, we're going to take those off at a later video. Now, breakdown on this thing, it's long, it's boring, it can be frustrating, and I don't have anyone in the editing department yet, so I'm going to do the breakdown off camera, but I will keep the camera handy just so I can film and post any relevant information. that's really about it today in terms of what we've got coming up. The next time you see it, it'll be in pieces, and we're going to cover some of those pieces and the ways that we're going to clean them up. And then we're going to start looking at our next step, which is anything that needs to be overhauled. And then after that, where are these pieces going to go and what are we going to have done to them? All right. Again, I want to thank everybody for joining us. This has been Black Dog, and I hope you guys have a great night.